What is up, Squared Nation? My name is Adrian, and welcome back to No Counters, No Combos. So today we're actually doing something a little bit different here on the channel. I haven't been able to get out to a local just yet, and actually this upcoming weekend I totally forgot it was going to be a holiday weekend, so I'm not going to be able to go to a local this weekend, but we're definitely going to start our local journey up again next Saturday, and I will be getting content to bring back one of probably the channel's best segments, the Battle Chamber, so I'm going to be bringing those back. I do believe the local I'll be going to is a best of one. I'm not exactly sure just yet, but we'll make sure that we get enough content on the channel so you guys can get your gameplay with your commentary. It's going to help me, refamiliarize myself with the existing card pool and also the new card pool, as well as interacting with different players that I've never played with before because it's my first time going to a local in Pennsylvania. So what we're actually going to be talking about today, looking forward into set 11, I don't know if you guys can see back there, but I have a whole bunch of set 10 product that I have to siphon through and organize, and pretty sure I'll have a place that have each card going into set 10. So as far as my set 10 conquest is concerned, that's completed. And now we're moving on to set 11, which is right around the corner. October 2nd, 2020 will be the release date for set 11. And what I wanted to talk about today, instead of just doing the entire reveal, the entire card pool, what's been shown, I'm going to be talking about what to look for or what to watch out for in set 11. So there's been a multitude of different leaders, a multitude of different strategies and cards that have been revealed so far. But what I want to focus on is this new baby leader. So he's a mono blue leader. Auto, when you place this card in your leader area, activate one Planet Tuffle from your deck. When this card attacks, draw one card. And his awaken condition is when you're at 4 or less, you can draw 2 cards and flip this card over. Seems pretty basic. 10k attacker on the front. And it's going to be a common leader in set 11. We look at the backside here. Moving on to the backside, when it's awakened, is a baby Spirit of the Tuffles, 15k attacker. Overlord has that new keyword skill, Overlord, that we're getting in set 11. Once per turn, place one of your battle cards with the Servant skill at the bottom of your deck. Draw a card. So that's a draw 1. Attack, draw a card, so you could draw 2 every turn potentially. Activate main once per turn. Look at up to 3 cards from the top of your deck. Add up to 1 mono blue card with counter skill among them to your hand. Place the remaining cards at the bottom of your deck in any order. Then choose 1 card in your hand and place it at the bottom of your deck. So you're, economically speaking, you're going even. You're searching a card with a counter skill to your hand, and you're putting a card at the bottom of your deck. But the good thing about this baby deck is it plays, I want to say like 90% of the deck, its battle cards, have all counter skills. So while I was away and while I wasn't playing Dragon Ball exclusively, I played a whole bunch of different card games. And I finally took the undertaking of learning how to play Magic the Gathering. So in Magic the Gathering, they have specific keywords that remind me a lot of this upcoming baby leader. The 2 specific keywords in Magic are instant speed and flash. So the flash mechanic in Magic allows you to be able to put creatures into the battlefield on your opponent's turn at instant speed. So in Dragon Ball, instant speed is, or flash rather, is directly related to the counter window that we have. So you have counterplay, counterattack, and counter-counter. Now this deck is going to revolve around that counter strategy. So basically, it's going to be charged past the deck. You're not going to be doing much on your turn. You're going to be playing all of your threats on your opponent's turn. Now, why I think that's special. To date, we don't really have a deck in DBS that does this. It is a resource-based game, so when you're utilizing energy to play out threats or play out your resources, doing it on your opponent's turn and not only disrupting them, but building up your board presence while your opponent tries to play the game, and then you have your full, arsenal or your full array of energy available to you when it's your turn again. It gives it a nice balance of being able to interact with your opponent while they're trying to do their stuff, but also leaving energy on your turn open for you to use efficiently. So I'm just going to look for some of the cards here specifically that coincide with this strategy. So we have Baby, the Unknown Parasite. It's the Unison card that they're going to get for this deck. It's 3 restricted blue, so it's going to come down on turn 3. Uptick 2, activate main, draw 1 card, so it's a +1. -5, activate main. If your leader is mono blue, choose up to one of your leader cards. It gets 15k power and double strike for the turn, so it's going to make your baby 15k double. Until the start of your next turn, you can activate mono blue cards with counter skills from your hand by choosing 2 other cards in your hand and discarding them instead of paying their energy cost. So that's a decent boost to the deck, because it's also going to facilitate you playing your counter strategy without having to use energy. Which, again, in a resource-based game, I've said this from day one, in a resource-based game, when you're playing your strategy and you're forwarding your game state without having to depend on, tapping your energy, it's going to let you use your energy for more efficient strategies or defensively or however you want to use it. You don't have to worry about committing that energy or paying that cost to, establish your board state. So I think this is going to be really interesting. And if you guys haven't really looked at the baby archetype just yet, moving into set 11, it's something I would definitely keep on your radar, because if you don't know how it works, sitting across from it, in a local or something, it could definitely sneak a couple wins out. The next card I want to look at is, for example, one of the new counter plays or counter attacks that we're getting for the baby archetype. So we have Sun Gohan, Baby's minion. He's a 3-drop, 2 restricted blue, 15k power. Counter attack, negate the attack, play this card. He's a servant, so this card gets plus 1,000 power and can't be switched to active mode during your charge phase. And then auto, when this card is played, your opponent can't attack for the turn unless they choose 1 card in their hand and place it at the bottom of their deck. So it's similar to the Pride and Justice Topo, I think. The red negate, that your opponent has to pitch cards out of their hand to continue to attack. Now, that in compilation with the strategy that Baby puts forth, you're going to be paying less for this card. So there's a cost reduction for your counter plays or your counter skills that you can play for much less. And if you combine this with your Unison card, you can just pitch 2 to play this, negate the attack, and then you have your 15k body servant on board, which you can then use to facilitate your draw engine on your turn, because then you can counter your opponent's attack. Let's say they end their turn. Now, next turn, you have a 15k body and you're resetting your energy. You can swing with this guy and then activate the Overlord skill from the leader, put him at the bottom, draw a card, then draw a card with Baby. So you're constantly recycling. You're not really plussing too much, but you're recycling your counter plays, your counter attacks, your defensive cards, and you're putting them back into your deck and be able to use them again later on. It's pretty much similar with all the other cards that we're going to go through here. Sun Goten, instead of being an attack, it's a counter play. Play this card, then the battle card being played has energy cost 4 or less. It's placed at the bottom of the deck instead of being played. That's really good. The blue counter plays that we've had since set 7, as far as disruption goes, they've just kind of bounced them back to your opponent's hand so that they could reuse later. Yes, you make the argument that they still have to pay the energy to cast that card again, but they're not really losing it because, okay, they're just delaying themselves a turn. But this being able to put it at the bottom of the deck is really effective because you're going to stop their big play, 4 or less, granted, and you're going to put it at the bottom of the deck, so they're going to either have to fish it back out or have an efficient way of searching it back. And then, of course, it does have the servant tag as well. Bulma, Baby's minion, 2-drop counterplay. If your leader card is a blue baby card, play this card. Then if the battle card being played has an energy cost of 1, it's returned to its owner's hand instead of being played. So this is one of the lesser ones. It's an earlier counter play skill, but again, putting the card back in your opponent's hand, only being a 1-drop, it's not going to cause your opponent too much to play it again the next turn. So this is probably one of the more mediocre ones, but so far the Goten and the Gohan look really good. Then we have Bola, Baby's minion, counter attack, negate the attack, play this card. So it's a 2-drop body counter. I'm very familiar with these. We got them back in Tournament of Power with Roshi. So the body counters we're very familiar with. Again, you have cost reduction with Planet Tuffle, and you have free playability with the Baby Unison. So these are other things that you can utilize with the strategy as well. So far, the Gohan and the Goten are the 2 that I like the most. These seem to be okay. It just gives you more counters that you want to put in your deck. And, just keep in mind there are a lot of blue counters in the game already. You don't have to specify, or you don't have to specifically restrict yourself to playing this this Baby Saga, or this brainwashed archetype. That's just a skill list card. So we have Baby Golden Avenger, which is technically the boss monster of the deck. He's a unique triple striker, so you can only control one copy of this at a time. Counterplay, play this card. Then, if the battle card being played has an energy cost of 7 or less, it's returned to the owner's hand instead of being played. So it's similar to the 5-drop Frieza counterplay that we have right now, that you get to play it for free if you have a green unison on the board. A similar effect, 7 or less, except it's KO'd. Obviously, green has that ability of spot removal as opposed to just returning stuff to the opponent's hand. It's still pretty good. I mean, you're stopping a 7-drop, so if 7 or less, you're covering a wide range of cards. As long as you're not, targeting anything with deflect, you should be totally fine. It's also a counter window, so this is like a new version of Bad Ring, so to speak. Negate the counter skill and play this card. When this card is played, draw 1 card, then choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and place it at the bottom of the owner's deck. So that skill is a lot more effective because, like I said, you're putting it towards the bottom of the deck instead of back in their hand, and it's counter. So the Bad Ring days that we all used to cry about, Baby has access to a similar Bad Ring play, especially with all the facilitation it gets from playing the counter skill in the archetype. We have Baby the Saiyan Slayer. It's a 4-drop, 20k, 3 restricted blue. It's a double striker, counter attack, negate the attack, play this card, counter, play this card. So you can play it in the counter attack window or the counter window. It's pretty good, pretty versatile. You can get it out in multiple places. Activate main once per turn. If your leader card is a blue Baby card, you may look at the bottom card of your deck. If it's a mono blue battle card with a counter skill and an energy cost less than or equal to your current energy other than a copy of this card, play it. So that whole thing of activating the Servant and Overlord mechanic, putting stuff at the bottom, you're always going to know exactly what's under there or what's the bottom card of your deck unless you're shuffling by searching. You're going to be able to trigger this Baby skill and get it and cheat out another body. So again, it's another efficient way of putting threats on board. You might not need to because you're playing counter abilities all the time, but if you wanted to, more of a go wide strategy, you can utilize this Baby card to bring out more threats on your opponent's turn and just flood the board so that they try to make their plays, knowing that when it becomes your turn, you're going to have bodies on board established already with all of your energy active for further playing. We have Baby Artificial Light Form. He's a 4-drop, 20k, 3 restricted blue, counter. If your leader is a mono blue, switch up to one of your mono blue energy to active mode, then play this card. If your leader card is a blue Baby card, when this card is played, choose one of your opponent's battle cards and place it at the bottom of the owner's deck. So this card, I can see benefiting a lot from the Unison that we looked at earlier, because that Unison allows you to play the counter skills without having to pay their cost just by discarding 2 cards. He's going to be able to come in the counter window and untap one of your energies. So either you're going to use that energy for defense or bean or whatever the case may be. You're going to be playing it in the counter window, and it's a 20k body on board. You can technically pay 4 for this to counter it, or you can pay 3 with Planet Tuffle, reducing the cost as well, and you're still going to untap an energy. So you're always going to play it for essentially 1 less, and it's a 20k body on board. So another decent card, but so far, the best ones have been, from the top, the Go 10 and the Go On, and of course the boss monster. We have Baby Diabolic Parasite. It's a 3-drop, 19k, counter play. Play this card, switch up to one of your mono blue energy to active mode, and if the battle card being played has an energy cost of 4 or less, it's placed at the bottom of the owner's deck instead of being played. Excellent. Overlord, once per turn, place one of your battle cards with Servant skill at the bottom of your deck, draw a card. So this Baby has the same Overlord tag as the leader, so you're going to be able to facilitate your Servant skills. And again, it's another counter play that gets the 4 or less at the bottom of the deck instead of being played. So you can kind of see, you kind of have the watered down versions of the counters and then the really strong versions of the counters. Now, deck ratio and like card copy ratio in this deck is going to be very interesting, because obviously you're going to want to facilitate as many counter plays as possible, and you're going to want to play as efficient as possible. But I'm not 100% sure if the entire deck or all of the battle cards in the deck have to be counter skills. But this card's phenomenal. Next, we have Baby the Body Snatcher. Counter attack. Negate the attack. Switch up to one of your Mono Blue Energy active mode. Play this card. Again, it's an Overlord and Servant skill, synergy there. He's not too bad. He's a 2-drop, so playing him for 1 less is going to be 1, and then you switch the energy to active, so you can essentially play this for free. You don't have to rely on the Unison card, because that's going to minus you 2 cards from hand anyway. So he's okay. He's pretty decent. 10k early is pretty good. 5k combo power is always really good. You can always charge it if you need to. But yeah, I mean, again, you have your really busted ones, which are the ones that siphon them to the bottom of the opponent's deck. And then you have your decent counters, which is going to be, of course, in any deck. Baby successor of the Tuffle King. Wow. 1-drop 4k counter attack. Negate the attack. Play this card. Auto. When this card is played, you may look at the bottom card of your deck. If it's a mono blue card with a counter skill, you may add it to your hand. If you added a card to your hand, choose 1 card in your hand and place it at the bottom of your deck. Otherwise, return the card you looked at to the bottom of your deck. So again, it's going to synergize a lot with you feeding at the bottom of the deck, basically recycling your counter skills when you're putting them at the bottom with your Overlord Servant skills. It's just a really nice fluid cycle, it seems like. Can this deck get blown out, early if it doesn't hit its pieces? Of course, but again, any deck is probably going to, fall to the same fate. But I like the fact that they're, really honing it in and being specific when it comes to the archetype. We have Dr. Miyu, creator of the Machine Mutants, a 1-drop 5k. If your leader is a blue baby card, when this card is played, look at the top 3 cards the top of your deck, add 1 mono blue with a counter skill among them to your hand, and place the remaining at the bottom. So it's a scry, or it's a fetch for one of your counter skills. Miyu has always been some type of fetcher for a baby archetype, so it doesn't surprise me that you're getting 1 in blue here. So let's go to the next page, because I definitely want to go over Planet Tuffle before we do all this. So again, this is a perfect example of what I mentioned earlier. You don't necessarily have to focus on the brainwashed archetype specifically. As long as you have a counter attack or a counter card in the deck, you're still going to be able to play with that strategy. So here you have a 2-drop 15k Goku counter attack. If your leader is mono blue, negate the attack, then choose one of your blue Unison cards in your Unison or drop and return it to the owner's hand. So it's going to be able to recycle your Unison if you need to, if you want to facilitate that strategy and start playing your Unisons for free just by discarding cards. So again, it's a pretty good card. Generic super combo for less draw a card. We need to go over that. That's not part of the archetype. That's not part of the archetype. Vegeta Ready to Rumble. So I've actually come across this card a lot on Untap. He's a 4-drop 20k. He's a blocker. So counter attack, negate the play, you play a blocker. So essentially he's going to get rid of 2 attackers. When this card is played, your opponent can't attack for the turn unless they place 1 of their energy in the drop area. So the Gohan makes them pitch cards from their hand to attack, and this Vegeta makes you kill energy for you to attack. So this deck is going to have a really good matchup against aggro decks if they can get their counters out efficiently. And this guy not only is going to counter and negate one of your opponent's attacks, he's also going to be a 20k blocker to follow up. Then on your turn, if you want to use him as an attacker, you have a 20k body on board. Really good card. Anything that manipulates energy or reduces your opponent's energy is phenomenal in my opinion. So we have Vegeta Disciplined Warrior. He's a 2-drop super combo, 10k. Auto, if your leader card is blue, your life is at 4 or less, and all of your energy is blue. When this card is used in a combo, it gets plus 10k power for the battle. Then you can choose 1 card in your hand, place it at the bottom of your deck, and if you do, draw 2 cards. So these are the new super combos that we're getting in set 11. Yellow, black, blue, green, red are all getting a copy of this. As long as you're playing a mono strategy, you can essentially Paragus. So you draw 2 and you put 1 at the bottom of the deck. However, in this specific deck with the baby, it's more beneficial when you put that card at the bottom of the deck, because it helps with the other strategies that you have for getting your counter cards from the bottom of the deck. So I think obviously this is going to be the super combo that you use in that deck. That's for SS4 Vegeta. That's not important. That's not important. Okay, so Planet Tuffle. This is the last card we're going to probably go over. Yeah, this is probably the last card we're going to go over. It's the field card. As soon as you play baby in your leader area, you get to activate this from your deck. It's a 3-cost extra card, field. So maybe I would probably play 2 copies of this, just in case one gets put in your life. You can always charge one later, or if you're really desperate, you can cast it for 3. Permanent, if your leader card is blue baby and all of your energy is mono blue, when activating a counter skill of a mono blue card with an energy cost of 5 or less from your hand, reduce your energy of that card by 1. So again, it makes you play your counter plays for much less, or for less rather, for 1 less. Activate main once per turn, add 1 card from your life to your hand, choose 1 card in your hand, and place it at the bottom of your deck. So Planet Tuffle is going to help also facilitate your counter abilities by reducing their cost in hand. But it's also going to help you self-awaken so you can get to that backside. And also because you take a life and put a card at the bottom, you can then manipulate and know exactly what card you have at the bottom of your deck every single turn. So when you go and activate your Searcher Baby for bottom card, if it's a counter, you'll know how successful your resolution of that effect is going to be. So, I mean, that's pretty much it for the most part. I'm really excited for this specific archetype because it's going to be interesting to see how effective that strategy of playing stuff on your opponent's turn is going to be, and then having your energy open for, just like utility on your turn. I mean, you're not going to be committing to your board unless you're playing a mixed strategy of, okay, I'm going to play my big bodies on my opponent's turn, and then I'm just going to play my little guys that are going to either get big, or my overwhelm strategy. There's a ton of ways you could build this deck. Blue has always been a heavily defensive card. Defensive color in the game, but now, obviously, there's a lot more variety with each color. But for the most part, I'm excited for this strategy. It's going to be really interesting to see how the interactions work with all of the other decks in set 11. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Are you guys excited for Baby? Is there any other archetype or leader that you're excited for set 11? And I hope you enjoyed this analysis of the blue or baby archetype. If the video is too long, I do apologize. I just felt like there was a lot to cover. I know these cards have been spoiled for quite some time, but I just wanted to get my take on it. For those of you looking for a different type of way to play in the game, I would recommend trying this out and seeing if you like it. I know the Simic Flash and the Dimir Flash decks in Magic the Gathering are pretty good, and this is similar to how that's played. So playing stuff on your opponent's turn is always fun. So like I said earlier, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Be there or be squared.